Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Life on the Wrist. Hope you guys are doing well today. I cannot believe that there was this really impressive Omega Speedmaster that was released. Impressive is one word of describing it. Expensive is another word that one could describe it with. But it is quite a cool watch, so I thought I would give you my thoughts on this. Both, what it means sort of for watches and watchmaking and the Speedmaster, but also what it means sort of for the prices of these watches. So if you don't know, to celebrate the 65th anniversary of the Omega Speedmaster, Omega released a new version of the Omega Speedmaster 321. The reference is 311.50.39.30.01.001. And this is the 321 Canopus Gold Omega Speedmaster. This watch is very, very similar to one of the models that it released recently in 1957 in the way that it's designed and sort of the stylistic elements of the Speedmaster. However, what really makes this watch stand out is that it is made of an Omega's own version of white gold, which is an alloy of 18 karat white gold with platinum, rhodium, and palladium, and that is what Canopus Gold is described as. So the watch itself is made out of this really interesting metal that's a combination of all these fairly rare metals, which sort of moves the Speedmaster into sort of the precious metal section of watchmaking. The watch itself, like I said, is very, very similar to the 1957 that they released recently, which takes its stylistic elements from the vintage CK2915-1 model, which is hailed as one of the best, obviously one of the best vintage Speedmasters that one could actually get at their hands on. There are a couple things that sort of differentiate it from the 1957. Obviously, it's running on the 321 caliber movement. It has a really beautiful display caseback where you can actually see the movement staring back at you, and it's got a seahorse sort of engraved in that display caseback. On top of that, it does have sort of this this different sort of black dial that is a little bit different. However, for the most part, it really does follow the stylistic elements of the 1957 and the vintage watch that was mentioned previously. It does have things like applied hour markers in the Omega logo, which I think looks absolutely phenomenal. I prefer those, so it gives the watch a little bit more depth. What really is the controversial part about this watch is that this watch is going to retail for 81,000 US dollars. The fact that it's retailing for that much is very, very different than a lot of the other Omega Speedmasters that you sort of can think of. When I think of an Omega Speedmaster, I think of it as a really great entry-level piece into watchmaking that's very accessible to people who are getting into watches or collectors just in general. So it's 81,000 US dollars. It's going to be sold exclusively at Omega boutiques. You're not going to be able to find it at other retailers. So there's a lot of sort of exclusivity about this piece. So I think the few things I want to talk about is what this means for the Omega Speedmaster line, what this means as a whole for Omega, and then collecting in general. So when I think about the Speedmaster, like I said, I think about a tool watch that was super accessible to many people and allowed for people to experience a very, very high quality watch at a relatively affordable price. Again, I'll say it again, relatively speaking. This watch, however, sort of moves away from the stainless steel Speedmaster that everyone thinks of as sort of when you think about Speedmaster, the iconic watch is that stainless steel Speedmaster that most people go to for a first watch. It's moving the Speedmaster into sort of the precious metal side of things with this new alloy that they're using to create this specific watch. I actually really like the fact that Omega decided to play around with case metals to celebrate the 65th anniversary of the Speedmaster. I know they've done a couple iterations where the case metals look different. A good example of that comes to mind is like the Apollo versions of these watches. You can also think of PVD-treated Speedmasters. Dark Side of the Moon, things like that. And I like the fact that they're sort of pushing the boundaries a little bit of what sort of defines a Speedmaster when it comes to case construction. Creating this Canopus gold metal I think is really cool. It's a cool mixture of all these different elements, and is another sort of layer that you can tell someone about the watch that you're wearing, and I think that's quite cool. It took its roots from the Speedmaster. You know, it took its design elements from the roots of the Speedmaster, which I think is a good thing. It keeps the watch in line with what collectors love about the Speedmaster, and I think that's always a great thing to do. I have said on this channel a couple of times that I do think sometimes watch companies should try and innovate a little bit more and create something a little bit new. In this case, because this was celebrating the 65th anniversary of the Speedmaster, staying true to its roots I think is the most important thing. I think if they deviated too much from that, it would have fallen on a lot of controversy around why they decided to change the design of the Omega Speedmaster. So really love it. Broad hands, you know, you've seen the pictures that I've put up while I'm talking. It is a Speedmaster that everyone loves. The only problem with playing around with case metals, and I'll sort of move into sort of the price discussion here, is the fact that it's $81,000. I said previously that the Omega Speedmaster is something that I have recommended to people as being a really great entry into watches, but it's also a very accessible watch for those who are building a collection for themselves. And when you price it at $81,000, it does sort of deviate from that true sense of this watch. I know I've received a lot of comments on Instagram when I posted about this piece, that a lot of controversy about how could they price this a Speedmaster at $81,000. It's not true to the original use of the Speedmaster, and the precious metals has nothing to do with the original Speedmaster. I get all that, and I can see that point for sure. $81,000 for a watch that should be pretty accessible is a lot. When you think about $81,000, you then think, okay, what could I buy with that money? And you could buy some really serious independent pieces, FP Journes, MBNFs, but you could also buy some incredibly complicated pieces from the likes of Patek Philippe, Vacheron Constantin, Audemars Piguet. So at $81,000, it really does open up your sort of world of what you want to end up purchasing for that amount. So I think this piece is really going for the Omega Speedmaster collector. What's really interesting about this piece as well is that it is not a limited edition. This is a regular run Speedmaster. There probably will be a discontinuation of it eventually, but this is not limited to a certain amount of pieces, which is quite interesting. You have an $81,000 Speedmaster, however, it's not a limited edition. Many people could have it. Obviously, you know, you have to have a budget where you can spend $81,000 on a Speedmaster. And I think that's what Omega was really going for. This is for the die-hard Omega Speedmaster fan who collects vintage pieces and was enthralled with the story of the Speedmaster, and that really started that person's collecting journey. He or she, it doesn't even matter what gender you are, you could be a Speedmaster collector. But it's for someone who's a die-hard Speedmaster fan who's looking to add a Speedmaster to their collection that is just a little bit more elevated. Yes, it's a little bit more expensive, but it also is a little bit of a different, like I said, it's a different case metal. That changes things a little bit more. It adds a little bit more of an element to someone's Speedmaster collection that they wouldn't have previously, because most of their pieces are probably going to be stainless steel. So it's an interesting element. I almost think of it as like the Grail Speedmaster from the modern era. Adding that to your collection really rounds out sort of the modern era collection of a Speedmaster, which is a little bit different. Would I buy an $81,000 Speedmaster? I probably wouldn't. I love the Speedmaster. I love everything that it stands for, all its history. I have recommended it to many people as a great first watch for them to get their hands on. I've helped many individuals find a Speedmaster to add to their collection. I'm just not a Speedmaster die-hard fan. I think with $81,000, you could probably find something in the MBF. I could probably find something in the MBNF line that I haven't seen before. even something like a Legacy Machine 2 or something like that. I think the Evo was also around that price. I'm probably wrong, but you could get something like that. But you could go to something like I said, FP Journe, which has become extremely popular. But then you can also, I mean, there's so much you could do. You could even go into sort of annual calendars from the likes of Vacheron. There's so much you can do with that, and I think it's just the trade-off for me is a little bit high. But like I said, this is sold exclusively at Omega Boutique, so if you want to see this watch, it probably is being delivered in some of the boutiques. It's not a limited edition, so they probably have a couple of them, so be sure to check it out there. I'll leave a link in the description to our website where we'll have an article. We'll go in depth into this piece, as we do with every single video that we make, so be sure to check that out. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about this. This is a controversial Speedmaster, but it is a very cool case metal, and I think if you think about it from that perspective, it's kind of cool. It's using the 3-2-1 movement, which I think is also really great. It's, like I said, hailed as one of the best. Love to hear your comments, so leave a comment below what you think about this piece. If you are new to the channel and you like watches, be sure to hit the subscribe button. We'd love to have you part of the Life Runners family. Check us out on our social medias. Everything will be in the description of this video. If you wouldn't mind hitting the like button for us, it does help us out with our YouTube analytics. And with that said, guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and until next time.